your brain rationally know that you're not gonna die, that there is no tiger in the room that's going to come out of the screen and eat you, you still don't feel safe.
Welcome to Courage to be Visible, the podcast for heart-centered entrepreneurs who are done hiding in the shadows and ready to step into the spotlight. I'm your host, Andrea Stenberg. I'm a video marketing strategist and a big believer that showing up as your true self is your marketing superpower. I'm so happy to have Giorgia G here with us today. She's a mindset coach and self-sabotage expert, which I think everybody can learn more about. Giorgia, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So in your experience, why do you think visibility is such a challenge for so many entrepreneurs?
Oh, that is a big question. I think it goes back to when we were children. Because when you are really young and everything you do is fun, everyone loves you, and then you start going to school and all of a sudden is be quiet, don't disturb the class, don't be the one that stands out. And even from maybe your parents might have inherited messages of, it's don't draw attention to yourself. People won't like if you make it all about you. And we get all these messages from childhood. And so because we are rewarded in a way to conform as social animals, we do want to belong. It's one of our primary needs, to belong. And so when you feel like standing out in any way or form is not accepted by your teachers, by your peers, by your parents. And by the way, this is done with good intention, because obviously when you go to school, you want to learn, you want to create chaos, right? And your parents, when they say, don't draw attention to yourself, maybe they just need to go to that context, there is someone that needs taken care of. So it's not really intended to be at us, like there's something wrong with us. But because we are so young, we don't realize that, just internalize the message that, okay, if I want to fit in, if I want to belong, there is this set of rules to follow, and I need to be like everyone else. And then one day you decide to start a business, and it's the complete opposite. Because if no one knows you, they don't know who you are, they don't know how amazing you are, then they are not going to be able to hire you, not going to be able to help them. And so it really is a big mindset shift, because I speak to so many people, I work with so many people that they are so capable, they are so great at what they do, they can get amazing results. And yet just the idea of tooting their own horn and going out there and saying, hey, this is what I can do for you, it just literally goes against years of conditioning. And so that's what is causing this internal conflict. When you know, rationally speaking, that people need you, they actually are great, you can actually make a difference, there is still the part of your brain that goes, yeah, but you're going against the grain, you won't belong. And so that was pull the brakes. Does it make sense?
Yeah, so basically, as soon as you decide to become an entrepreneur and kind of go, hey, look at me, you're fighting against all those years of training and internal dialogue and all the conditioning that you had, and it's hard to change, right?
It is. It really is. That's why I'm a huge proponent of not doing business alone. Even if you are a solopreneur and it's just you and your business right now, get a coach, get a business friends, get mentors, get people in your community. Because I always say it takes a village to build your business, both in terms of marketing, which you're amazing at, Andrea, and also in terms of mindset and getting you out of those stories and beliefs that are always have your, like, it's like, I'll describe it like driving a car with the brake on. You're not really gonna go very far.
That is such a good point about having that village to help you with your business. Because I know when I started my business, I thought I had to do it all myself. I had to know everything. I had to do everything. And that made it so much harder for me. And when I was realizing, no, like I'd see people who were who'd started businesses later than me who were like exploding. And then and then there was one guy in particular, and he had like this board of directors that weren't investors. They were just people who said, yeah, we'll meet with you 4 times a year and give you advice. And he had coaches, he had all the, and I'm like, oh, that's the difference. He's not doing it by himself.
Yeah, I think doing it by yourself really is the slow path, because you don't know what you don't know, both in terms of strategy, also in terms of mindset. I speak to so many people that are like, oh my God, I know there is something holding me back and I don't know what it is, or they think it's completely the wrong thing, because again, this conditioning is so ingrained in us, it's so second nature, it makes so much sense to us that until we have someone from the outside that challenges it, we don't even know, like, oh, wait, it's possible, I can do that.
Well, and it's true, because if your mindset is telling you this is how the world must be, and then you don't even look for the opportunities that are beyond that little box that you've put yourself in, and that's where the mindset training can be so valuable. Because I know I tend to focus on the tactics, like the marketing tactics and business tactics, but I have learned over the years it's the mindset is where you get the biggest breakthroughs, because you see opportunities and you take opportunities and you don't drive with the brake on your car, right?
Absolutely. And just I know that you help people with video marketing in particular, and I'm sure that they have a lot of mindset blocks around, oh, I'm not the kind of person who does video, I'm not good looking on camera and all these different things. And I always say to people when they come to me, because when they have a strategy, the strategy is there, you give it to your clients. And then there are finding reasons why it won't apply to them, or if it's uncomfortable for me. And I always ask them, okay, now you have the strategy, tell me why you can't. I can't do this because, and that's when all the mindset gremlins start to come up. You understand what is the story that is currently running the show. Is it because you think, oh, I am too old, I should have started in my 20s, because you see all these millionaires on the cover of Forbes that are under 30, and you're like, you start in your business afterwards, you're like, oh my God, I lost the train. It's like, no, actually, there are many people that started later. Or is it because that's rude? Maybe you have a belief that because when you grew up, your parents told you that it's rude to be visible, to stand out. Now you think, well, actually, I can't do that. Maybe someone told you that you are too much because you are so full of energy, you're so extroverted. And so, like, oh my God, now you are afraid that you won't look good on video. So, just by using this simple prompt, you can start unraveling where the belief is coming from. And once you have identified, then you can start challenging it and figure out, is it actually the truth or not the truth? If it were the truth, is it actually still true right now? Because maybe there was some truth when your mom told you that you were, I don't know, like too, what can I say, like you have too much energy, because again, you were a child and you had much energy. Maybe right now you're in a different phase and you learn to be calmer. So you know what I mean there. And if it's not the truth right now, then what else is the truth? Where else can you go? What else is possible for you? Because just because I used to be so shy, Andrea, I never thought I could do video or run with it like this, because of what happened to me in my childhood. And there was a point in my life when I really was the shy. I really couldn't do it. And then I started doing this work on myself to get out of my shell and to become, I will always be introverted. I'm not shy anymore. And for a long time, I still identify as shy until a friend said, well, you really are not. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not? I've been this year in my life. And like, not since I met you. Because I was still carrying that identity, even though in practical terms, I've done so much work to overcome it. And until someone pointed it out, I didn't even see it for myself. Isn't that crazy?
No, I can totally relate with that, because I was really shy too as a young person. And I think there's part of my brain that still identifies as a shy person, even though I've learned how to not be shy.
Yeah.
So I love like what you said about like you took somebody else to point it out to you, and it goes back to what we said earlier about like you need other people around you, because you can't see what other people see always. Like we have this, idea in our brains, and other, what are you talking about?
That is so true, because as I said, we tend to live into this box. And even when we do so much work to get out of it, because now, I mean, if you're listening to this, you are looking for resources, you are looking for support, right? And so you are always making progress, yet seeing this progress can be so challenging. Like, for example, I think the main reason why it's so challenging is because we don't stop to celebrate. We don't have like a goal where it says, okay, in 3 months I'm gonna reevaluate, or maybe I will go to the masters for 6 months and see where I am after. No, we start doing this work. We never celebrate, we never reflect where we are, we never take stock of anything. And so even though you gain all these skills and you get more confident and putting yourself out more, to your brain doesn't connect because it's still living with the whole story. That's why I always encourage all of my clients to celebrate, and we started our session with what's your win this week, because we want to anchor in so your brain actually gets it. Oh, things are changing. That's because something was true in the past. It's not true anymore.
That is such a good point. And I know, like, I've done this and I've talked to other entrepreneurs, because we're always like going for the next goal. We're always busy nitpicking, like, what did we do wrong or what could I do better? But if you never take, like, basically, I think I'm the worst boss I've ever had for myself, because I'm always looking at the bad things. But you need, if you have employees, you can't always just be dumping on them. You have to, celebrate their wins. So we have to do that to ourselves as well.
Also, such a common experience. I think we all are so much kinder to others than we are to ourselves.
That is so true. I know one of the things that I've started doing is I have a paper journal that I use for my business. And I always each week try to write down something that was a win or was a success. And it's really helpful when you have those weeks where you think, I'm the worst, and nobody wants to hire me, I'm terrible. And then you flip through and go, wait a sec, this happened. Oh, and then the week after that, this happened. What are some other ways that you help people with that mindset of, like, celebrating their wins or recognizing that they actually are improving?
Well, I always like to set a clear goal at the beginning of our coaching process together, because so that then every week we can actually take stock both of what's working, and we do go a little bit in what's not working, but only so that we can refine. So it's not like, oh, who's to blame and what you did wrong. It's more about, okay, you are learning a skill. Let's see where we are. Let's celebrate the progress that you made, and let's see how we can support you in getting better progress. And a big part also is managing emotions, because people say that it's their mindset that takes them out of the game, and to an extent it is true. But also, no, most of my clients come to me when I've done a lot of mindset work already, and they're like, I know that I can be visible and there is nothing to be afraid of. And yet, when I start doing a live or a video, I freeze, right? And that's when the emotional part, because just because your brain rationally know that you're not gonna die, that there is no tiger in the room that's going to come out of the screen and eat you, you still don't feel safe, because you still carrying emotions like, oh my God, the guilt of sending out, or it's uncountable, or maybe there's some fear, some anxiety, maybe what could go wrong. You start to overthink the tech and all the details that could go wrong. And so we also work a lot on understanding those emotions, because we tend to pack everything under the umbrella of fear. And fear is there, absolutely. There are times when you just don't feel safe taking actions. Also, sometimes it may just be worry because you don't know the tech. And so instead of just pushing through, it's about, okay, what could go wrong? Tech could go wrong. What do I need to put in place so that doesn't happen? How do I prepare? Or when it comes to, for example, the guilt, or I feel guilty because I should spend this time with my children and not doing it for my business. Okay, then is it really true that you're actually hurting your children? Or will you actually be able to support them better if you were able to grow your business? So when you understand all the different emotions, and that every emotion is a different message for you, then you can start to unfreeze. And if it really is fear that is blocking you, then ask yourself, what do I need to feel safe in this moment? Because maybe when I started doing videos, I honestly started going live on Instagram just to myself, because I found out that I could do it just to myself, to no audience. And that was a way for me to start get to know the fear until I was able to go live to a bigger audience.
I love that about like unpacking the emotions so that, because you're right, it's not always fear. Sometimes it's worry. Sometimes it's just, I don't like doing this. And then you have to have like figure out, okay, can you find a way to make it enjoyable? Or do you have to choose a strategy that you do so that you'll actually do it? Because that's one of the things I always talk to with clients. I always say, like, yeah, your clients are probably on Facebook, but if you would rather have a root canal than go on Facebook, you are always going to find excuses not to do it. Can you find somewhere else where your clients are that you don't mind going? So it's a figuring out what the emotion is and how do you overcome it. And then sometimes you just have to work around it and go, okay,
Yes.
I hate this so badly that maybe I should find something that I actually can enjoy doing, because business is hard. It should be fun too, right?
I totally agree with that. I feel that misalignment you're talking about, it usually comes from anxiety. And while fear and anxiety, again, are packed together, fear is, I don't feel safe, whether anxiety is, this is just not aligned. And, we live in an age where everyone has their own way. Like everyone wants to sell you their own way of doing business. You may feel like, oh my God, I need to do all the things. And if I don't do Instagram, if I don't do Facebook, then my business is going to crash because everyone is on there. And I'm like, build your business your own way, because if you already have skills, you already have talents, you already have things you enjoy, and you're going to grow so much faster when you focus on your strengths and your passions than if you're trying to learn a new skill from scratch, something that you don't even enjoy, and then everything feels like a root canal, and you're like, I started because I wanted freedom, and now I built a prison, and it's like, what's the point, right? So I totally agree with you there. Let's make it fun.
Yeah, and it's like, because when you are working on the things that are fun and that you are naturally good at, like, I've had days where I'm working and I look up and it's 10 hours and I feel like I've only been working for 5 minutes because I was doing something I enjoy, whereas an hour of doing something I hate, like that's torture.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do think that the business is supposed to be fun. And you're going to grow so much faster if you actually give yourself permission to do the things that you enjoy, the things that you are good at. And it really comes back to permission. Again, it's a part of being seen, right? Because in a way, it feels so much more comfortable to follow someone else's blueprint and do it their way, and actually say, this is what I want to build, this is what I'm good at. Again, it's another form of sending out, when we're actually told our life to follow the expert, follow the expert, follow the expert. But for me, it's like your intuition knows best. You know what you want to build, you know what you're good at, you know what you enjoy. So be the leader of your business and pick that strategy, and then find the expert that can teach you how to maximize that.
That is such excellent advice, because I know early in my business, I did it wrong and I just thought, oh, this is an interesting expert. I like them. I'll follow them, even though their strategies weren't aligned with me. And then it's kind of like I had to like reset and change. So that is such good advice, is figure out what you want to do and then find the expert to help you do it rather than just do what somebody else told you to do.
And I feel that's something that we all have done. I know that I've done it as well. I would say that the biggest habit to overcome sabotage is really start to build trust in yourself. So start listening to these little nudges of intuition of how you want to do your business, how you want to run things, and start trusting those are the right things. Because every time that you don't listen to yourself, sabotage is just around the corner. Because like you said, if you don't enjoy it, you're always going to find the excuses not to do it.
Yeah, I think that is so true. So, what are some other self sabotage that are common for entrepreneurs that kind of keep them from taking that big, bold steps forward?
I see two main patterns in entrepreneurs. One, we kind of touched on because this idea that you have to do it all yourself. And usually it's a form of control. Because I understand that there is a junior business where you may not have the capacity or the resources to delegate yet. But I find that lots of entrepreneurs, again, because we usually go against the grain, right? We are a bit of the rebels. And so we have this need to control things. And there comes a point where you think, oh my God, I need to do everything. Even when I hire someone, I'm going to macromanage every little thing because I need to have the last say in every comment that is written. And that takes your energy away from your zone genius, from the things that only you can do. And it feels so reasonable because you think that you're just being a responsible business owner, when actually you just become the bottleneck. And
Yes.
another common one that I see, particularly in women and particularly moms, is the people pleaser. Because we want to please everyone, so we keep our prices low, because otherwise people cannot afford us. Or maybe we don't have any boundaries with clients, and we reply to emails at 11 o'clock at night because, oh my God, if I don't represent away, this person is not going to work with me anymore. And maybe you create an offer and you just pack too many bonuses and too many things. Again, you want to please, please, please. So these are two very common ways to get you stuck in so much busy work in stuff that doesn't move the needle forward, just because you have this desire to just be in control or to be accepted, to be loved.
And I think one of the other dangers of being a people pleaser is if you're the expert, sometimes your client wants to do something that is absolutely wrong for them. But if you're a people pleaser, you don't, forcefully enough say to them, no, you shouldn't do that. Like, you kind of want to agree with them and be nice to them when sometimes they're hiring you to say, no, that's not what you need to do, or you should do it another way, or you're wrong. And a lot of people pleasers, that's terrifying to say to somebody.
That is so true. That was actually me when I started years ago in my previous business. And it's, it's so true what you said, because it is terrifying to just say, no, you shouldn't do that. What I've learned through the hard way is that then they actually end up blaming you because you didn't stop them. So there is always a price to pay, whether you say or don't say. So choose the price that actually serves you, because you can pay the price of being uncomfortable for a few seconds and support your client, or you can pay the price of disappointing your client, because then they're going to do something, they're not going to get results, and they're going to blame you, and so then everyone loses.
Yeah, that's a great point. This has been such a fun conversation. I feel like we could talk for another hour, but we need to wrap things up. So, Giorgia, if somebody's been listening to this and think, oh, I need some help with my mindset or self-sabotage, I want to hear more from Giorgia, where can people reach you?
Absolutely. If you go on my website, thetreasureswithin.net, you actually go to download my system for overcome sabotage, and it will take you through the steps that we discussed today about your mindset, your emotions, and practical actions that you can take to overcome the fear of visibility, to overcome the need to control, to overcome the people pleasing, so you can finally build a successful business without constantly overworking, over delivering, and over pleasing.
That sounds amazing. And I will have the link to this in the show notes. So absolutely go and get that, because I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot from this conversation. I can't imagine how much people are going to get if they actually go through this process. So, Giorgia, thank you so much for joining us today. And everyone else, thank you for listening. Thanks for listening to Courage to be Visible. I hope today's conversation sparked ideas for your own visibility. If it helped, please share this episode with a friend. Follow the show and leave a quick rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps. For links, show notes, and free resources to grow your visibility, head over to the show notes or visit my website. See you next time.